Hello. On this webinar, we will go over the updated requirements for HIV data collection and EvaluationWeb starting January 1st, 2019. These requirements will impact every site that is currently funded to provide HIV testing and is required to report their data in EvaluationWeb by the Wisconsin HIV program. As a reminder, EvaluationWeb is the database that all state and local health departments use around the country to report HIV testing and results to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC. As part of the new 5-year HIV prevention grant given to all states, the CDC's program evaluation branch has decided to make changes to data collection requirements for HIV testing and to EvaluationWeb. As a jurisdiction that is funded by the CDC to provide HIV prevention activities, the Wisconsin HIV program and all grantees funded by our program are affected by these changes and must adhere to the new requirements. The Wisconsin HIV program was not involved in the decision-making process for these requirements. The CDC has made these changes to minimize the data collection burden on state and local health departments and agencies that report HIV testing data, and to ensure that HIV data collection adapts to the changing landscape of the HIV prevention field. This includes removing some previous data collection requirements and adding some new questions about PrEP. During this webinar, we will cover new HIV data collection requirements, when to complete the online EvaluationWeb form, new client-friendly risk assessment form, and the PDF guide to complete the online EvaluationWeb form. Starting January 1st, 2019, any site that provides a rapid or lab-based HIV test or a rapid syphilis test will enter all testing data provided to a client into EvaluationWeb. This includes any testing that is done for co-infections, including hepatitis C, gonorrhea, and chlamydia tests. For example, if a site provides a rapid HIV test and a rapid hepatitis C test to a client, both the HIV test and the hepatitis C test should be entered into EvaluationWeb. But if a site provides only a hepatitis C, gonorrhea, or chlamydia test without a HIV or rapid syphilis test, those tests would not be entered into EvaluationWeb. This is a change from the current EvaluationWeb where only HIV tests are entered. More details about the workflow and different scenarios in which test data should be entered into EvaluationWeb can be found in the PDF guide under the resources list. The bottom line is that starting January 1st, 2019, data entry in EvaluationWeb is always required whenever an HIV test or a rapid syphilis test is completed. Here is the client-friendly form you are likely currently using at your agency for the HIV risk assessment. The next slide shows the new form and the new data collection variables that will replace this form. For HIV and rapid syphilis tests starting January 1st, 2019, this is the new client-friendly form that you will be using at your agency to collect client demographics, HIV and STI risk information, and HIV and co-infection testing data. The form is double-sided. The first side is designed to be filled out by the client if that is part of your agency workflow. The backside is only meant to be filled out by agency staff. We will be sending you the final form prior to January 1st for your use. The front side of the new client-friendly form contains very similar information to the current client-friendly form you are using at your agencies. I will highlight some of the changes. For example, this new form now includes a designated spot for the A sticker or Test ID sticker to go. On the current form you use at your agency, the questions ask about risk information in the last 12 months. This new form asks about risk information in the last 5 years. We have also eliminated the yes, no, I don't know boxes, so clients will just check boxes in this section if the answer to any of the questions is yes. If you are doing rapid syphilis testing, You should also make sure to ask the client if they have given or received oral sex in the last 12 months. This is only asked of clients receiving rapid syphilis testing because recent oral sex is a greater risk factor for syphilis than it is for HIV. If you are not doing rapid syphilis testing, you can ignore that question. The last change on the front of this new form is the addition of 3 PrEP-related questions. These questions are to gauge whether clients are aware of PrEP or if they have ever taken PrEP. Every client receiving an HIV test or a rapid syphilis test should answer all 3 questions. The first question asks if a client has ever heard of PrEP. The second question asks if the client is currently taking daily PrEP medication, or Truvada. The client should check this box only if they are taking PrEP on a daily basis. The third question asks if the client has ever used PrEP any time in the last 12 months, regardless of how the client has obtained the medication. It can be prescribed by a doctor, purchased from someone, or sharing with a friend. The client should check this box if they have used PrEP at any point in the past year, even if they weren't taking it daily or if they were not currently taking it. The backside of the form is completely new for all sites. You will use the data collected on both sides of the form to complete data entry in EvaluationWeb. Again, this side is only meant to be completed by testing staff and not by the client, as it asks for information related to the test done. Under Test Election, you will mark if the client tested anonymously using a code, confidentially using their name, or if you did not complete an HIV test, you will select Test Not Done. Test Not Done will only be relevant when you are completing a rapid syphilis test and not an HIV test. It is fine to use this form if you are recording other STI tests, but this form only needs to be entered into EvaluationWeb if you complete a HIV test and or a rapid syphilis test. Under worker name, you will write the first and last name of the person who completed the test. There is no longer a designated space in EvaluationWeb to enter your full name or worker ID number, so we are asking you to write in your full name under Local Use Field 1 in EvaluationWeb. You will find the local use fields at the bottom of the online web form. We will discuss this more later. Test type is where you will mark the type of HIV test used and the result of that test. If your agency provides rapid HIV testing, most of the time you will only be completing the boxes under CLIA-waived rapid test. If you provide a laboratory-based test or your rapid HIV test result is reactive, you will need to send a blood sample for further testing. Then you will mark a box under laboratory-based test. When you use this form to complete data entry in EvaluationWeb, you will only enter the final test type online. So if you do rapid testing, 99% of the time you will just enter the rapid test result. However, if you do a confirmatory test after a rapid test, you would only enter the confirmatory test result in the online form. In the section labeled for HIV negative results only, you will never need to answer the question, is the client at risk for HIV infection? You will always mark risk not assessed in EvaluationWeb. The CDC has made this an optional question, so we are trying to reduce data burden on our partners by not requiring you to answer this question. The CDC criteria for determining PrEP eligibility can be found in the PDF guide to EvaluationWeb data collection changes in 2019 in the resources list with this webinar. The question, was the client given a referral to a PrEP provider, is asking whether you referred the client directly to a person who could prescribe PrEP or to a PrEP clinic. Alternatively, the question below it, was the client provided services to assist with linkage to a PrEP provider, is asking if you referred the client to a PrEP navigator to assist with a PrEP referral, continue to discuss eligibility, or address financial concerns. Another new section of this form is on co-infection testing. It is not required to provide co-infection testing. However, if you do, we ask that you record it here on the form. If you provide a rapid syphilis test, you must record that on the form and in EvaluationWeb. However, if you provide the client only a gonorrhea, chlamydia, or hepatitis C test, you do not have to enter that data into EvaluationWeb. You are welcome to use this paper form to complete the test, but we do not require you to enter it online. However, if you complete an HIV and/or a rapid syphilis test, we do require you to complete this form and the online form. If the client was tested for syphilis using a rapid syphilis test, you are asked to document if the syphilis test result is a newly diagnosed infection, not infected, or not known. Newly identified infection can only be determined by completing a laboratory-based syphilis test. If you provide a rapid syphilis test and the result is reactive and you draw blood to submit a laboratory-based test, that lab result will tell you if the person has a new infection. The rapid test is an antibody test, and once someone has syphilis once, it will show up reactive on all antibody tests after that, even if their syphilis was treated and cured. So the lab test will identify if the client has a new infection or if they have a previous infection. The newly identified infection box should only be checked if the lab result identifies a current infection. If the client has a past, previously treated infection, the box "not infected" should be checked. If the rapid syphilis test result is negative, you should also check the "not infected" box. A reactive rapid syphilis test result alone is not enough to select newly identified infection. If the client receives a rapid syphilis test result and you are unable to obtain a blood sample to send to the lab for further testing, you should check the box "not known" under syphilis test result. The last section of this form asks about essential health benefits. While we invite you to complete this section, we do not require that you screen clients for all of these items in the list. This is an optional section. It will be up to each individual agency to determine how to respond to this section. However, you will have to click "No" for each question in the online form. In the resources list linked in this webinar, you will find a link to download the Guide to EvaluationWeb Data Collection Changes in 2019. This guide will walk you through when you should be entering a test into EvaluationWeb, how to complete data entry in EvaluationWeb, and definitions of required data collection variables. This is an example of a page in the guide. It lays out how to answer each question online in EvaluationWeb. We encourage you to refer back to this guide several times until you get used to completing the online data entry screens. This PDF guide also includes pages on how to complete the form if there is a positive HIV test result. In the new version of EvaluationWeb, different questions will appear based on the HIV test result, if a HIV test was completed or just a rapid syphilis test, and if co-infection testing was completed. In order to get access to EvaluationWeb, you will first need to be identity-proofed by the CDC's Secure Access Management Services, or SAMS, system. This process is referred to as the e-authentication process. After getting e-authenticated, please log into your SAMS account at least once a year to maintain your access to EvaluationWeb. To initiate the e-authentication process, contact EO, Prevention and Evaluation Epidemiologist at the Wisconsin HIV program using the contact information in the slide. In addition, for any questions related to EvaluationWeb user access, or adding a worker name to the worker list without getting access, data entry issues, and HIV testing requests, contact E.